Media is to life what a mirror is to a reflection. It can only show and tell so much. A couple of days ago, a trailer for an upcoming Netflix original came out about young girls dancing, discovering themselves, some stuff, but that's not what we're seeing. Or that's not what people want to talk about. That's not their outrage. But yo, we should be outraged, but not the reasons we are. This isn't my typical wheelhouse, but what needs to be said needs to be said. This is, as always, Just a Hustle, and this is Gaming Life. The story goes as follows. A writer-director by the name, and I know I'm going to butcher this, of Mimoen Decor, French African woman, put out a film at the Sundance Film Festival and Berlin Film Festival earlier this year. It won an award or some shit, and now Netflix is picking it up. I have a bunch of churning emotions about all this, like everybody else wants to, but this needs to be said. It needs to be said. Creative thinking creates criticism of fictional and factual information. And we are living in a world where the media represents both the fictional and worse factual, and vice versa, of all levels of who we are as human beings, who we can be, who we fucking are. But why are we all so surprised? Why are we all acting so hurt when this is an actual thing? Like, this is an actual situation that occurs in our world that I refuse to look up on my computer for reality of association. It isn't just that Netflix seems to be trying to downplay the horror that this show's premise presents, but people are acting as if this isn't a real issue. What are we really mad about? That it's in our face? Little girls every day are being abducted and forced into trafficking, and nobody is really talking about it. Children all over the world disappear and end up in all manner of jobs, but nobody is talking about it. How does this now rock the boat? Fabien Lemercier writes from France, recognized with the award for Best Director in the World Cinema Dramatic section of the Sundance Film Festival, and with a special mention in the Generation K Plus section in Berlin. Cuties is the feature debut from, again, Mimoen Decor, handled by Bien ou Bien Productions and acquired by Netflix. The film is launched in French cinemas on the 19th of August by Bach Films. He goes on to report that Mimoen Decor said, the day she saw at a neighborhood party a group of young girls aged around 11 years old going up on stage and dancing in a very sensual way while wearing very revealing clothing, she came up with the idea for Cuties. She was rather shocked and wondered if they were aware of the images of sexual availability that they were projecting. In the audience, there were also more traditional mothers, some of them wearing veils. It was a real culture shock. She was stunned and thought back to her own childhood, because often she would ask herself about questions of her own femininity, about evolving between two cultures, Senegalese culture, which comes from her parents, and a Western culture. She says she needed the 2020 version of that youth, so for a year and a half, she stopped groups of young girls in the street, sometimes in schools or with organizations, when organizations opened their doors to her. She recorded them or filmed them when she had their parents' authorization, and gathered their stories to find out where they situated themselves as children, as girls, as future women, how they placed themselves in society with their girlfriends, their families, at school, with social networks. All these stories fed into the writing of Cuties. This ain't my wheelhouse. I don't do videos, let alone videos like this. But what needs to be said, needs to be said. This can't be hidden. This can't be ignored. We have to talk about some of these things, and we need to take a good look at how we feel about it and what we can do about it individually. To deny that this movie exists and will be on Netflix is unacceptable to me. And career or social suicide be damned. Fuck it. I have a theory, and it's a doozy. But I think people hate to see reality when it's negatively reflected on them. Anything that makes us feel negatively about ourselves, we dislike, so to say. We scorn it, we refute it, we discard it, we ignore it. If we have the power to influence it, we debate its fucking value. That's what humans do. I was born in the late 80s, and I'm not going to go deep into this tangent, but I was incredibly fortunate to grow up with both a mother and a father in an African American military family. I had siblings, but by the time I had come to the age of teen, I was relatively an only child. And bless the dead, my mom was always around the house. But all my friends were home alone getting raised by the TV and backyard football. I was always partial of video games and fictional fantasy narratives and worlds, but my peoples were relatively in the scene coaching me along the way. Our influences, how we do things, have been developed and cultivated and nurtured throughout the years. And they have at times been our own choice of subjugation, or at times they're from outside influences. Media is a representation of us in all its forms. Media is a creation of us. This is media. This video you see before you. Don't mix up the definition with what people want you to believe it is with what it actually is. This is a form of media. However you are watching is a medium that provides you with the opportunity to watch this media. You get me? Now, cuties are disgusting. That is my opinion. Objectifying women is disgusting. But humanity is disgusting. And that is what the fuck it is. No apologies. I still gotta live here. And I still hope you are all enriched with health and wealth. But this is just a hustle. And we out.